This is Bobby Liebling. You're listening to Rockum Radio.
And this is Sonny Vincent. Make sure and tune in. This is Rockum Radio.
His studio album, Caveman Logic, was released 2 weeks ago. Congratulations, Sonny and Bobby. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, we were really happy the album finally came out, and we're super happy with the response to it. It's nice. It's out there. People are grabbing it.
Yeah, in my opinion, this debut album, Caveman Logic, is a brilliant heavy rock album, Sonny, with groundbreaking bursts of guitars, sung with passion, Bobby, and a lot of rock and roll attitude.
Yeah, we kind of got together, and we didn't have much of a plan, but we figured if we got together, it might be cool. It might come out good, but we were really pleased how good it came out. We just, being that everybody's experienced and a veteran, and we just kind of threw ourselves into the situation, we didn't know for sure how it would come out. But now we're super pleased that we were lucky and blessed and magic dust all over us. We are happy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. How could you describe the music of this record?
Really fucked up and in your face.
Attitude.
That's Bobby.
It's just rock and roll, baby. We didn't want to do any kind of clever stuff. We just, all of us are just kind of from the same era. We like the same stuff when we were kids, and we enjoy the same kind of music in our musical lexicon and stuff. And I just describe it as what happens when these characters get together, and you can be lucky or you can be not lucky. There's some bands that get together, or people from other bands get together, and it just doesn't seem to click, just doesn't seem to swing sometimes.
That's
sometimes
right.
There is a magical thing. I've watched videos of the Beatles tuning their guitars, and I'm going, shit. Those guys tuning their guitars is worth 10 shows from another band, just tuning up, so you can just be lucky. We were lucky that we all fit. That's what I can say about it.
Absolutely. In my opinion, I listened to all your record completely, and not one time, many times, and each track warrants its place on the album. It's a great record. I like it a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
You're very welcome.
We thought that each track had its own identity. They were all like separate kids, and each one of them had their own special little thing to them,
That's it. You're right, Bobby.
It's got some standout melodies that you remember, things that you remember in each thing.
Yeah. How was the creative process of Caveman Logic? Any story to share?
I'd written the chord structures and, the riffs and stuff to a bunch of songs, and I sent them to Jimmy and Bobby and Hugo. Bobby wrote the lyrics. So basically me and Bobby wrote about 9 songs together. Oh. And some of the songs I'd already written, a couple of them, and Hugo, our other guitar guy, he wrote a couple. So it was really a collaborative thing. And, I sent the structures early enough for Jimmy to practice them before we went to the studio, because we recorded the album in Portugal before the pandemic.
In Portugal? How was that?
That was good and bad. I had
the recording was good. The recording of the record itself was good. The music was kind of bumpy.
The music part was good, but
what was the bad part?
The part that was weird was that, our dear friend Hugo, who we love, and if it wasn't for Hugo, it would never, have happened. But when we got to Portugal, there was a lot of stuff that didn't happen, and some stuff that we didn't expect to happen, and everything was kind of crazy. I'll just give you a short kind of crazy thing. Me, Jimmy, and Bobby, we're a little bit older than 20-year-old kids in a band. We had to take a 34-hour flight to Portugal. So already we're getting pissed off. If you're 20 years old and
of course
you're in an airport, you're going to record
an adventure.
Yeah. Yes. You're 20 years old, you're flying into Portugal. You're doing pirouettes, and in the airport, we're just getting crankier and more pissed off, and Jimmy loses his wallet in Gatwick in London. And
My God.
and then when we got to Portugal, there's a language difference between,
Portuguese.
Hugo, Portuguese and English. And I'm telling Hugo that we need three separate rooms when we get there so we can chill out. It's going to be a long flight. And, they didn't have to be, in the palace or the great hotels. You could be three
separate. It was the major thing.
So what happened was Hugo made a mistake, and he booked us a small apartment, with only 2 bedrooms. And I ran real fast to the first bedroom. I threw my suitcase on the bed and I said, "This is my place." And Bobby looked at me with like an insane look in his face, and he said, "Zoom," and he zoomed to the other bedroom. Then Jimmy is standing in the living room going, "Fuck you guys. I hate you guys. This is like in the Stooges. You guys suck. I get the couch." And so right away, the bullshit starts. And like Jimmy's very angry at us, and also there was a thing where at the airport, when he lost his wallet, he told us to watch his bag. And normally, I'm the kind of guy, if somebody says, "Please watch my bag," I'm like
you keep your eye on it every second normally.
Yeah, like a pit bull crossed with a Doberman, man. I'm on that bag. I'm watching it. But we were so tired after this flight. Me and Bobby were sitting there with Jimmy's bag, and we just fucking walked away from it, chatting and walked away. We saw Jimmy somewhere in the airport. He goes, "Where's my bag?" And we said,
"Oh my God."
Oh, no. So right away, we didn't know Jimmy that well. So now in his mind, he's forming a thing like, oh, these two guys we put them in the asshole box because
those jokers.
Those are the kind of guys that don't watch your bag. But we were just so tired, we didn't mean to, leave. And we found his bag. Everything was cool. But one thing after another in Portugal was going kind of wacky. And the only thing that saved us was we had a really cool engineer that I organized in advance because I knew his work. And his name's Paulo Vieira. We hardly had to talk to him. He had a mental telepathy with us, knew exactly what we wanted. That was cool. But so many other things, were really crazy. Like, I don't know. Tell a little bit, Bobby, because I don't want it to sound like I was the only one. Clown car.
Jimmy and I were arguing on and off because Jimmy is a real good dude. I love Jimmy to death. Jimmy kind of sometimes will have something in particular that irritates him, and he'll blow up at you and get really angry. We were in a restaurant in Portugal, and the restaurant was packed with people, and they were all eating with their family and sitting around, relaxing and so forth. And all of a sudden, Jimmy and I get into some kind of argument over some little thing, and Jimmy stands up at the table.
My God, what experience!
Yelling to each other, "Fuck you! No, fuck you! You cunt!"
Scandalized.
Yeah, and we argued a lot, and Jimmy also got pretty sick when we were over there. It was right before the pandemic, and we're thinking now he might have had the virus before it was really highly publicized.
Before it was popular. He had the virus before it was popular,
Right.
but Gino, you got these situations, you read about them in books, like the Beatles. They were all born in Liverpool. They knew all the same teachers. They knew the cranky man down the street that said, "Don't eat my apples, get off my lawn." They knew all the jokes. They grew up together, so they had this instant connection. Me, Bobby, and Jimmy, we didn't really know each other that well. And then, we decided to make an album together, and then we're 34 hours later, we're in Portugal, and everything's going insanely crazy.
Wow. What experience. Amazing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you could write a book about the journey itself,
or the next album.
Yeah,
the next album we will learn from those mistakes. We'll make sure to get we'll get 3 separate rooms. It doesn't have to be a fancy hotel. It's just any kind of separation so we can chill out and be like on our own a little bit, and just other things can be adjusted. We'll still record with Paulo and, just do a lot of the stuff the same. But some of the stuff,
We'll call the album Get Nasty.
I don't know.
How the idea to create or form the band born? Who had the idea to create this band and why?
Oh, there was a kid that Bobby knew. There's a guy that he kind of supports bands and musicians. I know that he hung around with the Blue Cheer guys for a while, and he's kind of like a big fan of music. Sometimes it's irritating. Like, I'll be really busy, and he'll send me a picture of Leslie West. Dude, I'm fucking busy. I love Leslie West, but why are you sending me pictures of him? It's like, but he's a real fan, and he knew Bobby quite well over the years. I only knew him because he was driving a tour van for me. He was like driving for a couple of my tours, and we became close and had a really nice connection. And I didn't know Pentagram at all, and Bobby didn't know Sonny Vincent at all. We were just in two different areas of the world, two kind of different tribes of music, so to speak. And he hooked us up. Bobby, he played my music for Bobby, and Bobby said, what did you say when he played the music?
I loved it right away. I didn't hear Sonny ever in my life until 2015. And I hadn't heard of him like he hadn't heard of Pentagram at all, either of myself. And I went nuts over it right away. I said, this, because Dan, the guy who was a mutual friend, he was telling us that Sonny had gone through a lot of hard knocks, let's call it, in his career, which I had also, this and that, hard times and so forth, and not getting the recognition that Sonny deserved, and that he'd love to see the two of us, meet up and, possibly think about doing something together or whatever, and I went crazy over all of Sonny's stuff as soon as I heard it. It's got a lot of hooks in it. He's, a great musician, and he's been doing it, as long as I have. And I loved his voice. I loved the guitar.
Well,
yeah, and when Bobby sent me the early Pentagram stuff, I thought, wow, that sounds really cool and raw, kind of like Blue Cheer. I mean, it had its own thing, but I liked Blue Cheer when I was a kid, so there was a lot of connections, and we both like 60s soul, we both like garage, we both like Mersey beat. There's a lot of connections.
Yes, the first time that I read the press release and talking about the band The Limit, I found Bobby from Pentagram and then you, Sonny, for Testors. And one is metal, doom metal, and everybody in the metal community knows about Pentagram. And you, in the most important history of the punk rock, is New York, CBG, that place in the 70s, and with Testors and your music. I listen to your music, and congratulations, it's amazing. Now,
thank you.
You're very welcome. Two legends, in my opinion, together in this album. That's amazing.
I know. Part of it was that both Bobby and I, we do things kind of intuitively. Like we didn't say, okay, we're going to make this album. We're going to do 40% hard rock, 40% punk, 10% glam, another 10% flash. We didn't do it that way. We just knew that because when we had our phone calls, we had many phone calls, and we were always laughing and always goofing around and having a good connection. And you just get like a feeling that good connection you have personally most likely will transfer over to music, And so and it did. And and in terms of like punk, if you study a lot of the punk bands and the punk riffs, if you listen closely, a lot of it's like speeded up Led Zeppelin riffs. I mean, it's like
wow.
Down, it's like it's just
heavy rock on meth.
A lot of it is, and so the roots that we shared were the same, even though we went in different branches. One of the nice things, Gino, about this album, which we didn't even think about, is that like what you were saying, one is kind of like metal, one is kind of punk, and music. these days has been kind of going in a direction of having different separate tribes.
Yeah.
Like I have friends that they only like things that are a little bit intellectual and a little bit dark and a little bit serious. Like friends who like Nick Cave, Lydia
Cave, wow.
Lunch, PJ Harvey,
Wow.
things like that. And then there's other friends who like Metallica, Slayer, and then there's other friends that the kind of stuff they like is garage rock, The Liars, and all the 60s stuff. So our album kind of, it didn't piss off anybody, like thank God, and like it seems to cross over, which is nice because metal people are singing the praises of this album, and punk people are singing the praises of it. And we didn't. There was, one person said, "So what did you guys do? Did you put your heads together and decide to cash in on kind of a, we didn't. We just did it, and we're very blessed and lucky that it does. Like metal guys just love it, and punk guys just love it, and girls, So
Bobby, how was the reaction of your fans, of the hardcore fans of Pentagram,
Okay,
with this
people
album?
who love Pentagram, they seem to a lot of them call doom music, which I don't subscribe to that because I think Pentagram are just heavy hard rock. And, this is what I've always thought of it as. It started out almost acid rock when Pentagram started, psychedelic, hard rock.
Mhm.
And I don't like the doom term. It's flattering that people say, "Oh, you're father of doom metal," and so forth, and you started this type of music.
Most people say that.
Yeah, people say that, but I don't listen to doom in quotes myself at all, and don't like.
Even bands like Candlemas and doom bands in Europe said that you are a big influence in them.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate that they say I'm an influence. Of course, it's a very flattering thing, and I hope that people have enjoyed it through the years, which I guess a lot of them have. And the doom band, even though they coined me as an influence, I don't see Pentagram as a doom band. I listen to no doom metal at all, and most of the doom bands to me are nowadays, especially the bands that are put in that category in particular, they get very pretentious. Most of it's very boring to me. Doom metal doesn't have changes and dynamics. It just goes on and on. It's slow and repetitive, and it's boring to me.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think the thing that Bobby's expressed to me a few times is that he's attracted to desperate themes, desperate feeling, desperate sound, kind of doomed lyrics and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that he's into a certain kind of sound that gets like a trend. He's just attracted to like desperate, tragic,
and tragedy and hopeless feeling, which is pleading for help and is just desperate and downer, bummed out, sad, that kind of thing. It's
a little bit tough, I guess, for Bobby, because like the first time I went to Amsterdam, and like some people know my music, and when you listen to my music, you realize the intent, the themes, and what I'm trying to say. And when I got to Amsterdam, I met a guy. He kind of knew my name, and the first thing he said to me was, "Yeah, Sonny Vincent, punk rock, grab him by the head and kick him in the face, kick him in the face." And I go, "Dude, that is not where I'm coming from. Like I'm not grab him by the head and kick him in the face. Maybe a certain politician." But
you have an anger in the music, and you express it musically, but you don't want people to go out and kick each other and hit each other.
Yeah, so those are the kind of misconceptions.
My God.
I mean, I listen to all different kinds of music. Sonny noticed that right after we met, that I have a really broad span of things I listen to. I love all the classic punk rock. I love all the Ramones, the Damned, the Dead Boys, the Vibrators, the Saints. All of those bands are incredible to me. And I grew up in the 60s, so the bands that are now in the category called garage bands are really punk rock in its infancy when it was just being born. Those bands had an attitude. And the Limit stuff, we wanted it, I personally see it as having a lot of attitude, a lot of street. It's very street rock. It's down to earth, doesn't have any fancy, production stuff and no bells and whistles, but it's straight to the point. It's got attitude. It's got belligerence.
It really, like I said, it wasn't planned. Like if I strap on a guitar and go into a studio, I don't say, okay, now I've got to make that attitude. Like Keith Richards does not go into a studio and say, okay, now let's do that Keith Richards thing. He just does it how he does it. Same for me and Bobby.
Wow. Guys, I think this is a hard question of this interview. Okay? If you could...
I hope it's not got mathematics involved because I'll fail.
Maybe. Okay. If you could choose 3 bands, okay, as the most significant influences of this record, what band would you choose and why?
Oh God!
This record, there's too many to me.
Only 3.
It doesn't really have, like if you said to like Johnny Thunders, tell me one guy who influenced 2 guys who influenced your guitar playing.
On the Dolls album.
Yeah, he might say Chuck Berry and Little Richard. I mean Chuck Berry, and Keith Richards, But for us, it's just really a mixture of everything that, like, I can listen to soul music and lose my mind. I can listen to MC5 and lose my mind. I can listen to the Monkees. It's all, the MC5. I can listen to the Monkees. It's all studio musicians. It's great though, so it's real. Like, I don't think, of course, when you're growing up, there are some landmarks, like some like important things like, Little Richard, that's important,
I listened when I was growing up and I was just barely a teenager. I loved the Bonnewell Music Machine because the Music Machine, they did Talk and People and Me, which were semi-big hits. I loved them because everything the guy did was bummed out. It was downer kind of music. He was desperate all the time and gloomy and pleading for help. And so they were a huge writing influence through my life, but I don't see that directly applied to the Limit album. It just goes into the mix of everything else that I feel.
So we can say this album, The Limit, is a mix of all your experience, all you know how in this album.
One day, Bobby put on some makeup and said, "Do I look like Nancy Sinatra?" And I said, "Yes, exactly." Maybe he's influenced by that. I don't know.
Guys, you have a lot of experience. What are the best memories you have for the past years, from the beginning of your careers?
In the moment, when you ask this question, another day it'll be a different answer. But what comes to mind, because you brought up CBGBs and Maxes and that, one time I was playing CBGBs and there was maybe a couple hundred people there. And when I was a kid, I was tall for my age and I was dating some college girls. They brought me into Greenwich Village. That's way before CBGBs existed. But I saw like Allen Ginsberg do his poetry. I saw the Fugs play a show. I wandered into the factory when I was a kid. And so I got this whole feeling of that Greenwich Village was the center of the universe for creativity, for artists,
city life of the scene, in quotes.
Yeah, left over from the Beat generation. And I remember as a kid thinking, I'd really like to be part of this. This is so vital and so alive, and just walking around the village as a kid in the 60s. And later, I'm sitting backstage at CBGB's and I'm having kind of an epiphany. I'm thinking like, wow, I'm not only part of it, I was on stage tonight headlining, man. This is so fucking awesome. And I was really like enjoying that. Unfortunately, our drummer was going, oh, measly 200 people. The Who is playing Madison Square Garden tonight. And he just kind of popped my bubble a little bit, because he was thinking of another kind of path, another reality, for his mind. But in that moment, I was happy right where I was.
I think that's, I know what Sonny means about if you ask now, it'll be one answer. And if you ask next week, I'll think of something totally different. Because when I started playing music, it was right after the Beatles came out. I started playing on stage like in 65, right? And I was very young. And I remember seeing the Beatles when they were on Ed Sullivan and all the girls throwing bras and panties up on stage. And I said, that's what I want to be when I go. And, as life goes along, of course, it's all about the music in the end. But I wanted that to be fast life. It was craving action and kind of. I like the seedy side of life. I like to experience things when I was very young, even that were not things of my age group.
Wow.
I guess I was wanting to grow up really fast, and be with the people who are making things happen in music, not just a local thing or something like that, but I wanted to make the big time. And that's part of it, I think, for all musicians when they start out. I mean, everybody has a dream, right? And my dream was to get noticed and everybody to, want to listen to my stuff and so forth, which also is a big joining to you wanting to create, because the more people listen and the more they enjoy, the more it lets you keep creating more,
Definitely. Do you think in this moment, in these days, the people in this crazy world right now are using the caveman logic?
I think they're going too fast.
There's a lot of young bands, though, that, they kind of concentrate on, they're into the kind of music that, we're into. So that's refreshing. None of them get, in the highlight. You won't see like Lady Gaga and then, the next thing. And then some band from, Chicago that plays, like punk or, metal. That's just, there's not as much support, like Bobby was talking about when he was kid, looking at the Beatles. We come from a generation where, in my neighborhood, if a guy was walking around town with a guitar, everybody was looking at him like, "What the hell is that?" Wow, a guy. What's going on here?
Yeah, it was new and fresh. More. I mean, bands like as a unit, 3, 4, 5 people, whatever, playing together was a brand new thing in the mid '60s.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's still bands out there. Like, that's the cool thing about punk and metal is the theme of it is oftentimes disenfranchisement with society, disenfranchisement with your family, just general, not feeling right in the world. And there's a lot of young bands that are still doing that and saying that, even though they're not from the early days, even though they're not an original punk band from CBGBs or something like that, they still connect to that, and it speaks to them, and it comes out in their music. So
they relate with it. So it's an attitude.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Your approach gets expressed through your attitude, right? And the Limit's got a lot of it's very street level.
Wow. Okay. And guys, how do you see the future of the music? I know we are in the middle of a pandemic, and we don't know when it's over. We don't know when is the final part of this pandemic. But maybe we are creating a new generation of musicians right now with new rules, a new world. We don't know. How do you see the future with all your experience?
You hit the nail on the head. We don't know. It's too unpredictable right now to tell. We don't know what direction the people in general everywhere are confused about what direction to turn to and where we're going to go, because we have no idea what the pandemic is going to develop and produce when it dies down somewhat. What is going to be existing after the pandemic is over, in quote. And who knows if it will ever really totally end in people's minds, or if we've moved on now, maybe to a new era of everything is going to be looked at in a pandemic sense,
Okay. Did you get that shot, Bobby?
I just got my second shot yesterday.
And how do you feel with that?
I feel more secure that I got it.
I went right to Bill Gates' house and had him do the chipping. He chipped me. And so now I'm not really the actual Sonny you wanted to interview. I'm the kind of adjusted, nice Sonny. I've been chipped, and there's a 6-year-old grade school kid on a computer in China who kind of controls me, and it's nice this way. I'm kind of Stepford,
Don't worry about anything anymore.
No,
everything is taken care of for you. Right?
He's got his computer, and I wake up in the morning and I think, God, I think I want to go to the store. Normally, I don't go to the store at that time, but the kid in China programmed me to do it. So it's kind of an easy life,
Maybe that's the future. Maybe we need the shot, the vaccine, and go to concerts again.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I know a lot of people miss going to live gigs, and that's really a pity.
Yes.
That's it's like I like going to live gigs, but the thing I like most is being kind of in a studio, like a dungeon, not much light, creating songs and everything. Sometimes I've been in my rehearsal rooms and studios. Once I was in Minneapolis, and I came out of my studio to buy some potato chips from the machine, and I said to a guy, I said, "Dude, what time is it?" And he said, 4. I go, yeah. 4 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon? Which time is it? Because I lost sense of time. I was just working deep in the music,
He's stuck in the cave, man.
Caveman.
Caveman. You know something? I think this is not the first time that we are suffering something like that, because 5 years ago or 10 years ago, we suffered the digital era. Everything changed to Spotify, to the digital platforms. You know what I mean?
Explosion. Yes.
Yes, and for
Yeah.
example, I prefer the physical records. I bought
Yeah.
physical records because it's like a part of the musician. It's not only a file to listen on
It's
internet.
holding a small piece of the stuff. in
Yes,
your-
this is the musician.
It's a tangible item. It's real. It's something you can actually hang on to.
It's hard to, now the new generation don't know that sensation. And I think we need to teach the lesson. How is that? Because it's beautiful to have something. And when you need money, you go, hey, I'm selling my record and $10.
Yeah.
And you record
Yeah,
something.
I mean, it used to be so nice when when albums were still the biggest and only thing, even before CDs came out and so forth, to hold the album in your hand while you're listening to the record. It made you feel like you were part of the music.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
Yes. Sonny, where can we get your physical album?
I was actually I wasn't doing much in music for a while because my family was in an accident and I was taking care of them, and so I had a bunch of my physical albums. A lot of record companies will give you albums as part of your deal. So I had a bunch of albums, but I'm almost out of them, and that's a little bit unfortunate because some of the people out there that wanted my albums, they could reach out to me and say, can you send me one? So like I had a bunch of them. Now I'm down to just a few, and unfortunately they go the higher and higher on like eBay and stuff. I know there's one site called Discogs.
Okay.
That has a lot of they have a lot of cool stuff from everybody.
Nice place.
And so Discogs is a good one. I think they can just do a search and try to find my stuff. It's still out there. Some of it's out of print. Some of it gets a little bit expensive, but they can still find deals. So
of course.
yeah,
I've
got a Bandcamp site which people can check out. It's
the link.
it's got a lot of my stuff on the Bandcamp.
Okay. Guys, if you can advise a young musician, what would be your advice?
Don't quit your day job.
If you have an interaction with a police officer that turns into a half hour, and if you would have shut your mouth and could have made it 5 minutes, just limit your exposure to the police. Keep it to a minimum in terms of minute and seconds.
The limit.
Be a big problem.
The limit.
Yeah. I mean, really, in this day and age, I really would say until things start getting better, young kids should limit their exposure to dudes running around with guns.
Okay.
I think musically, though, just on a musical level, pursue your dream. I mean, right now, since we don't know what's going to happen, keep practicing the instrument, keep gathering together when you can, do it safely, and keep playing and writing and making people enjoy just things for people to enjoy,
Fantastic.
And hopefully we'll all enjoy things together again someday soon.
Like really sweet hippies, really enjoy it. You could also say, like if you catch me on a bad mood, I'll say, well, leave the guitar alone. Try to pick up a movie camera, get into a field that you can break easier. It's
Don't quit your day job, right?
Day job.
How many guys are picking up guitars? No, I think I actually that we're on this subject. if you've got a passion, you really should not let the world crush it and stamp it out of you, whether it's music or art or, writing. You should always, because you don't know if you're going to get, hit by a bus the next day and be completely dead. Mm-hmm. So don't let them get you on that corporate, conveyor belt and, trick you. You got to follow your passion,
Beautiful advice. Guys, any last words in this interview?
Let's see. Lake.
Don't take candy from strangers.
Guitar string.
You never know.
Yeah, that sound.
Especially if the guy is wearing a raincoat.
Oh yeah.
I think what we got to do is get Bobby. We got to get Bobby to teach a class at MIT. And he can tell the kids. All right, first on the blackboard, don't take candy from strangers. Then he can hold up a vinyl album. Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? This is a vinyl album. Look at the cover. You can read all sorts of information about it, and Bobby can just kind of like be a professor at MIT and just give the kids the good daily messages they need.
On the down low.
On the down low.
On the download.